What is going on, you guys in Raider Nation? Coaster here, just talking about the Raiders game, and they're done with the Packers. They lost. I'm not really angry on this one. Usually, I get mad that Carr makes a mistake here and there, but there's really nothing to be mad about because the Packers are a good team. I know they struggled. They've had some games where they've looked vulnerable, and I think this was a very winnable game. But the Packers are a good team. I just can't be angry over this. I don't think anyone had the Raiders going to the playoffs. Obviously, I didn't. Uh, but the Packers beat them. That's how they won the game, and they got a very good start, or the Carr had just such a bad start. You spot two touchdowns, and then it's hard to overcome that. It is harder to overcome a bad start. Sometimes it's a bad finish. Sometimes it's a bad start. In this case, it was just that first quarter. You throw those picks. Uh, I'm still kind of on the fence with him. I still am. I'm not saying he's bad, but I can't say he's great. I'm still in the middle. That's my problem with Derek Carr. I'm not buying into that hype that everyone else is. Just you can pad your stats against really bad teams, but when you face a quality opponent, I'm up in the air because I've seen Carr make those mistakes that get silly, and it is what it is. James Jones embarrassed the Raiders. That's fine. Well, good for him. Obviously, I don't think he would have been a system fit with this current Raiders team. He was expendable for us, but obviously he knows the Packers system well. He was drafted by them. He was once a teammate of Aaron Rodgers. So, good for him. Happy for that. He's doing well. I've always liked Aaron Rodgers. Always had respect for the Packers organization. Now, the one thing that we always need to remember is that Reggie McKenzie came from there, and Reggie is pretty much building off the philosophy is to build through the draft. You look at the Packers roster, almost all of it is homegrown. Almost everybody on that roster was drafted, unless there were some recent injuries that I missed up on and they had to replace it with other guys. Almost everyone was drafted by the Packers. The only exceptions were John Kuhn, who started with the Steelers, if y'all forgot that. I think Julius Peppers, he was a free agent. That was one of those rare, bigger name free agent signings. And everybody else was drafted by them, if I remember correctly. There might be a few other guys that might have had to swap due to injuries and come in and out off the street, but everyone else was either an undrafted free agent or they were drafted by the Packers. And that's just finding gems in the draft. You're not going to hit home runs on all of them, but when you can draft guys and draft people for your team the way that Ted Thompson and the Packers do, that's what Reggie McKenzie wants. It's where he worked for many years. And so far, we're seeing pieces. There's pieces in this Raiders team that we can be happy about and we can build upon. Obviously, there's still a work in progress. That's been the perception since the beginning, is this season is about just growth and development. I thought the defense played all right. They were able to stop the run pretty well. Especially stopped the run well. I don't know about the fourth quarter, but they did good against the run. I know the Packers are kind of a passing team anyways. Unfortunately, DJ Hayden still sucks. That's the one thing Reggie did not do right, and that's just besides that Roger Saffold free agency botching. DJ Hayden is a bust. I'm sorry, but I hated that pick the day it happened, and you can go look back at my reaction video. I wasn't happy over that one. He still is caught with holding. You can say he was injured and he didn't get the practice, but that was a risk they took, and that was the best guy on Reggie's board. We could argue that Reggie McKenzie in the past 3 years has taken the best guy on his board the last 3 years because Hayden was the guy they were targeting. They wanted him at 3 overall. They would have taken him at 3 overall if they didn't trade down. And obviously even Menelik Watson hasn't done anything. The other guy they got when they traded down. So that pick's not looking good. That was the best player on Reggie's board, and he's not doing anything. Of course, we are having goodwill with him, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon, so I'm not worried about that. But thankfully, Khalil Mack could have been the best player on Reggie's board. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, but it was definitely, I think the Raiders were drafting 5th that year, so he was definitely in the top 4 because the reaction by then coach Dennis Allen was they were surprised he fell. So that's a sign he wasn't the 5th player on the board. And then Amari Cooper was probably the number 1 player on Reggie's board. I'm very sure of that. So It's panned out okay. Amari Cooper, I think, is the first rookie, one of the first rookies in Raider history to get 1,000 receiving yards. It is amazing. Sometimes it's Carr's fault for taking a dumb throw, but there's other times where the receivers cover it up. And then there's other times where we have silly drops by Cooper and Michael Crabtree. But it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about that. This game, unfortunately, was just a game that started bad and you couldn't recover from it. So Thursday, this could be the last game in Oakland as the Oakland Raiders. Who knows what's going to happen ahead? I know some people have been wondering what are my thoughts on that and the whole situation with possible moving. I'm not bothered wherever they go. I really am not. I'll still be a Raiders fan. I mean, I bought some Oakland Raiders gear where it says Oakland on it just because of all the history that's been here, but I'm not going to abandon this team. I'm still a Raiders fan whether they go to Carson, San Antonio, Planet Mars. You know what I'm saying. I'm not bothered by wherever they go. That's really my stance. Personally, I'd like for them to stay in Oakland, but I'm not going to lose sleep if it's the end and this Thursday is the last game. The one thing we know is that I think the Chargers, who we're going to see on Thursday, they might have played their last game in Qualcomm in San Diego. It'll be pretty sad to see them turn into Los Angeles Chargers or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm sorry, they don't belong. They belong in San Diego. I don't think. With apologies to those of you in SoCal, LA, I don't think deserves a team. That's just my opinion, but they're just a melting pot of NFL fans, and it doesn't matter where they are. If there was an LA team that go back, it would be the Rams. Personally, I'd like to see the Rams go back, but that's just me. That's only a minor opinion. If the Raiders do move and somehow that whole Chargers Raider thing happens, the only thing I'll be mad about is the way the division alignment would be. I would be mad if they shared a stadium and they would go out of the AFC West. I think that was the proposed plan, and I don't want to see certain teams every year. I'd rather see the current division alignment. Not everything has to make geographical sense, but like how the Cowboys are in the NFC East when they're in Central Time, but there's tradition. I think those rivalries that we see in the AFC West should stay. The Seahawks, when they moved out, they were the youngest team in that division, so when the Seahawks switched to the NFC, it was real easy. I didn't have to think about it. Really didn't have any opinions on them and so on. But I would be sad if that alignment changes, if that ever happened. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, and this could very well be the last game. So if you're at it, cherish if that's your last game in Oakland this Thursday. I'll talk about the game, and let's see y'all later. Go Raiders.